Hi, I'm Adam Meyer of Mill City Lutherie in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And today what I'll be showing is what I'll call a partial restore. A customer brought in his Fodera base. Foderas are made in New York City. They're a pretty elite brand of bass instruments. What he's complaining about is he has one of his neck screws is stripped out, and also at one point he wanted a gloss top, and so he had someone apply a gloss finish. Didn't have the body stripped and redone, it was just applied over the original. So it'll be up to me to get the gloss off, but without damaging the original finish underneath. Partial restore, not stripping and refinishing or anything, just getting it back to what it was. All the parts have been removed, taken the neck off, electronics have been extracted. That's obviously the first step. And second step that I'm going to do, since I'm going to be working with the finish here, is we have signatures and stamps in the neck pocket. So I'm going to take some wax paper, cut it to size, tape it off around the edges, just to make sure that nothing damages the signature. Anytime you're working on any sort of restore with finish that may have identifying markings or something special about the instrument, you need to make sure that those do not get damaged. Now that I took the base apart, try and find the reason for the stripped out screw hole other than somebody simply over tightening the neck screw, find out that when you insert the neck screw, that's all the more that you have for a screw going into the neck. It's about a quarter of an inch. So I'll be replacing this screw with the customer's permission. I'll find a matching black screw that is longer length, and that'll help prevent this from happening again in the future. Right there, you can see some bubbles, little air bubbles that were left when the wipe-on finish was applied. This isn't going to look a whole lot different when it's complete because I just don't have the lighting and the camera to capture everything. But I think you can see how it does have a gloss to it, and it's supposed to be a satin finish. But so I taped off along this black seam. The reason why I did that is because I'm going to mix my own type of stripper on this that will not react with this finish, but will take this off, and I'll apply it by brush and then use steel wool to gently wipe it from the original finish. And I put this tape on because it's going to be really hard to match the sheen with the original to what I'm doing with the steel wool. So I'm just kind of having that line of definition so that I'm not having to go over the entire body. And like I said, protect any sort of signatures and dates, and also always test in an inconspicuous or spot that you can hide. This was my test area here under the bridge. So now it's time to mix some chemicals. I have to have the place ventilated pretty well. Okay, I'm going to give a disclaimer on this. I'm deliberately not saying which chemicals I use to remove this finish. This is not a tutorial video. This is promotional. I do not want somebody doing exactly what I did on a different body that has a different finish and getting a bad result and then coming and blaming me. If you have an instrument that needs a similar project done, stress again, do a test spot under the bridge. Start with things that are mild and gradually get more and more aggressive. I know what was on here. I know what was put on. But like I said, I'm not going to tell you what it was and you go with a different brand instrument and the chemicals go all the way through to the wood. So if you need to do this yourself, make sure you test first. Try and catch it here in the reflection. See, like right there, after I'm brushing across with the steel wool. That's a little bit of the finish I'm trying to remove. You see here, back to the satin in this area, but I haven't gotten to the wood. You see that there's just a little bit that's I'm able to get off of there. Came off real nice in here. Over here you can see there's a little bit of a clump of the finish, which I'll have to work a little harder to get that off. But this is that shiny area that has the wipe-on finish. And this is where it came off. It's all nice and flat. Have a satin texture. Day 3 of this project. I was able to get the top cleaned real nicely. As you saw in the previous clip, I had the runs along the edges here, which I did get cleaned off. And after that, I very lightly did kind of a scuff coat with 800 grit sandpaper. Steel wool was leaving a little bit more of a kind of the whisper scratches than what I wanted to leave. So I evened everything out with that 800 grit sandpaper. And now to match the sheen of the back, since this is only a partial restore, just getting the clear off the top, or the gloss off the top, and matching the sheen of the back, I'm going to use a little bit of clear satin finish. I'm really only going about this with the philosophy of I'm kind of cleaning the top, buffing, not really building up coats, just to match the sheen. And next clip will show you the result. So there's a second part to this job, and that's to repair a stripped out screw hole in the neck. This is pretty common. This is the way I'm going to go about it on this instrument. I'm going a little bit overboard on it. Normally I would just take some dowel that you can buy at the hardware store and use this as the filler, but I am actually going to use my lathe and take a piece of maple and make a maple plug for this, custom size and everything. The way I'm going to go about this is I'm going to bevel the top of the screw hole until I can safely fit a drill bit inside there. Otherwise there's a chance of ripping the top, and I don't want to damage any finish or anything. So why I'm doing this is I want to create a perfectly cylindrical hole, nice bottom to it, and that way I know that when I make the dowel, it fits in there perfectly. To simply take something that's undersized, you're going to be relying on glue, and I don't want to do that. Or something that's, you try and pound it in, I don't want to do that, because you just want to make sure that it's fit correctly. Fodera is a really nice instrument company. I want to make sure that this is done appropriately. All right, and here's the dowel. See, it fits in nice and snug. So I'll take a pencil, that's how much I need to fill in. So I've applied a few coats of the satin finish, and now what I'm going to do is I'm using some of this fabric kind of sandpaper to basically buff matching sheen, or as close as I can get to the original. Everything is very flat and smooth. No longer have any brush marks from wiping on the finish or sanding. This stuff works really well. So far I'm at a 3600, and it's not quite getting that semi-gloss look yet. It's still pretty matte, so I'm going to end up going up to 4000, possibly up to 6000 before I get what I would like out of this. Last day with this base. Time to get it back together. Here's the epoxy from the plug in the neck. Set up very hard overnight, so we're able to mount the neck again. And go through and clean up some of the wiring. Customer requested to have Fodera pickguard put on, so I have that step as well. So here we go. Alright, body's all put together, electronics installed again. It's time to mount the neck. And I have already drilled the hole for the new neck screw. But there's going to be a couple things I do here just to prep the holes properly. This base has been taken apart a few times, so these holes, the original ones, I'm going to use a little thin super glue. Doesn't really matter what brand, but I'm going to not fill the holes, just run some down in there and let it harden up the wood that's there, the threads of the hole. Let it, kind of reinforce what's there. Then I'm going to feed the new screw into the new hole. Once I've done that and all the glue has set up, all of the holes, I'm going to put a little bit of paraffin wax in. And that helps the screw slide in. It lubricates the flutes on the screw. And nothing really binds up. It'll just go together a lot better and prevent any sort of stripping out of the wood in the future. Here's the final result. Have the gloss removed, mounted the pickguard, screw in the neck is repaired. Everything's done, plays well. Wasn't a difficult job. It's just something that you have to have the patience for. You don't rush removing an aftermarket top coat. You have to take some time, and it took me 3 days. I only did it for a few hours a day, maybe 2 hours. Let the fumes clear out, and just make sure you do not use any hard tools trying to remove any of the top coat. Unless you're going as far as to just completely refinish the instrument, then that's a whole different story. This was, as I title it, like a partial restore or a semi-restore, only trying to undo an alteration, not a complete refinish.